right, good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast, and this is episode 196. We're getting close to 200. This is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. Before we get on the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome, and visit us on Twitter at PS This Is Awesome. If you want to make fun of the trophy list on the PSN, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at JakeSaw01. And as always, you can write the show at psthisisawesome@gmail.com. And most importantly, do not forget to share the show with your friends. Make sure to leave comments and rate the podcast as you see fit so we can keep growing this cool community we have. So for new and or longtime listeners, we now have a Patreon where you can support the show at a $1 level called the One and Only $1 Club. Head over to www.patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome to become a $1 patron and get your free die-cut vinyl sticker. And as a reminder, this is a live video podcast as well, which you can watch the show if you prefer over on our YouTube channel. And back to the Patreon thing, big shout out to Harold Eustace for supporting the show. A long-time listener. He has been writing in occasionally, and we appreciate the camaraderie, and we appreciate you just hanging with us over the years. That's a name that I recognized from way back in the day when we were doing it at your place, man. We were like years ago, like 7 years ago probably. He's been a long-time listener, so thank you so much for signing into that. And I did get the sticker mailed out to you, so hopefully you get that in the mail here soon. And I wanted to double back to, usually we talk about how we're on Tumblr, and at the end of our podcast last week, Jake was asking me, so what happened with the Tumblr? So I'll just explain real quick. So we did have some game reviews and stuff on there, our opinions on games. It was all old, dated stuff, and we were using the Tumblr kind of as a vessel for our audio podcast to kind of shoot that out to the aggregator or whatever. But I really wanted to put everything all in one spot. So the Tumblr page is still there if you want to look at the old stuff. But we are now uploading our audio podcast to Patreon. So you can go to that Patreon website, patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome. Also, I'm also linking the YouTube videos there. It's a one-stop shop for anyone who's interested in the podcast itself, the content that Jake and I release. And you can check it all out there. And it is free to everybody. And again, that $1 Patreon tier that we have set up is really just a way for you guys to contribute $1 to the show every month if you want, and then like I said, we'll mail you a free die cut sticker. And Jake and I discussed if we get enough patrons eventually, there's that cure again. I'm sorry guys, you won't hear that anymore. But if we get enough of patrons subscribe to our Patreon, he and I were discussing briefly outside of the show of maybe making some brief exclusive content for the $1 patrons. And maybe nothing like super long, like a full-on show, but doing something interesting. So if you're listening and you have some suggestions, we are open to that. You can write us at psthisisawesome@gmail.com or tweet us, all that good stuff. But yeah, so that will be the new home base for the show moving forward. Patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome. And yeah, just go over there. And like I said, there's no paywall to access the content right now. There may be a paywall to access some of the content down the road. We'll see as things progress. So thank you for joining up. And with that out of the way, Jake, how are you doing?
Pretty good. It's was semi-nice today, so got to be able to go outside for a little bit, which was kind of cool. I mean, it was still cold, but
yeah,
at least it wasn't snowing.
Yeah, it was really cold, man. I had a bunch of errands I had to run today. I was telling you before we started the show that my friend Matt lent me a guitar so I could try out these 57 Classic pickups. And I liked the way they sounded, but I had to run it back to him today up in Erie, Pennsylvania. And then I'm also, I think I've talked about it before in the show, but I'm a member of, there's like very few comic book stores in the world still, or at least in this area. So there's a comic book store called Books Galore. And last time I was up there, they still had our little flyers that we made and we took up there to promote the podcast, which is hilarious because those are really, really old. But the pile gets a little smaller every time I go up there. But because it's like about a 45-minute hour drive up there, I don't pick up my comics. So the cool thing about comic book stores is you just say, hey, I want to collect this line of comics, and then they'll just make sure they order it for you. So every month or every 2 weeks or however often the new comic book comes out, they'll take it and they'll just put it in a file for you in the back. And then you can go up and pick it up, So I am a repeat offender of not going in and picking up my comics. So I get these yellow postcards from them all the time, just being like, hey, you've got some comics here you got to come pick up. We bought for you, and you need to come pay for them. And it's always like, we can mail them to you if you want. And I'm like, I'm not paying an extra $15 to have you mail me like 6 comic books. Like, I'll just come up and maybe with the price of gas going up, who knows, maybe that is the better option down the road. But anyway, so I was in the comic book store. I go in there today, and just small talking with people, and the guy goes in the back, and he goes, "What?" I go, "You probably have a ton waiting for me, because I haven't been here in like a month and a half, 2 months, might have been 3 months." And he goes, "Actually, no, it's just like 5 books. They're all G.I. Joe." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. All right. So I guess they're not doing the Punisher line I was collecting. I guess they're not doing this. These things that I was interested in and that I was getting, Die, 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 which is Robert Kirkman's latest effort, and it was pretty cool. So I guess there weren't any new issues for any of that. But then as I'm sitting there talking with him, there's this guy behind the counter off to the left, and he goes, what's Hot Water Music? Because I have like a Hot Water Music hoodie on. They're a band, for anyone who doesn't know. And I was like, oh yeah, they're a band. They're from Florida. They're really good. They've been around for years. Oh, cool. And he goes, and what a great salesman, because then he goes, you interested in, first he goes, where are you from? And I said, oh, I'm from Meadville. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I'm from Erie. And he was sitting next to this girl. They're both behind the counter. And then he goes to me, he goes, so, you come to Erie often? And I'm like, yep, quite a bit. It's like the bigger city around here. And he goes, hey, this here comic book. He goes, I wrote this. He goes, I'm selling them here today. And I'm like, what? Like, you wrote a comic book and it's here? And I'm like, count me in, man. Let me see what you got, And I started talking about music and how, like, I'm going to support, like, local art and stuff. And he was selling them for $5 a piece. And they look great, man. They were completely done correctly. And then I was like, who does the art? And he's like, well, this guy down in Florida does the artwork. And then we also have another artist from Indonesia that we connected with who does a lot of art for us. And then the girl next to him was like, and I do all the coloring, because a lot of people do inks for comics, and then a lot of people do coloring. And he goes, yeah, it's all based in Erie. The comic books, it's about, like, I don't know, a crime syndicate and stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is really kind of cool. And then so I bought a comic book off him, and then he and the girl next to him who were both involved in this comic line, it was issue number 5, signed it with like a Sharpie. I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird. Like, you're just here hawking your comics. What a weird niche world. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be tough to like sell a comic. I mean, God, you're up against all these great comic book people, and then it's such a niche thing to begin with. Like, man, could you imagine? Like, yeah, I think I'm gonna make a comic and make some money off that. Like, man, there's no way you're making money off a comic. Well, maybe, I guess, if you do a hell of a job. I haven't read it yet, but I threw him $5, and he goes, oh, they have issue number that. He goes, that's issue number 5. They've got some number 4s here still if you want. I'm like, man, I'm gonna stick with one issue for now. Appreciate it, And it looked good, but I don't need to jump into a new comic line. But anyway, that was kind of a cool story. So I've never met anyone who's written a comic like legit like that, and it was like DIY, but it wasn't, you know what I mean? It's probably a lot kind of akin to what we do with our music. We don't have, it didn't look like he had a deal. Like, I didn't see like any like big publisher or anything listed on there. It's probably his own publishing company, and he's just like indie making comics. And I'm like, dude, that's so rad. He's a really nice guy. I don't know. And that was my day today, but outside of that, man, I'm still painting my Hero Quest miniatures, and coming along pretty well.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, you don't see a lot of people. I mean, I'm sure there are still people making comics or whatever, but like, you have to imagine, unless you have a big publisher behind you, it's probably really hard to get not only a comic printed, but for people to actually give a shit about it. Because like, if you go to one of those comic book stores, unless you're keyed in, they're really overwhelming.
Oh yeah, like, there's billions.
All the different, I mean, you can pick up like you walk in there and you're like, oh, hey, I like fucking Wolverine. And then they'll be like, okay, well, we've got 15 different lines of Wolverine comics. And you'd be like, what? Like, are they all like, nope, they're different canons, different story arcs, different fucking whatevers. This Wolverine's, in space.
This one's 90 years old. This one's a baby. This one's before whatever. Yeah.
So,
I almost said Generation X. I don't know what it was called. Something X, right? Weapon X, yeah. But anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Anywho.
But yeah, I mean, that's cool, though, that he got one released and he's kind of in there.
He's on issue 5, man. And like, the weird thing is like, all he's doing is writing the bubbles and making the story up. So, like, I feel like the heaviest of lifting has to be the artists, the people who are drawing that shit, right? That's got to be the heaviest of lifting.
I don't know. It depends, right? Because if you're good at drawing and the guy gives you the vision of what it needs to be, I mean, it's not like, he probably already told you like what it's supposed to look like. I'm sure it's more than just bubbles. It's like he probably gives the artist actual like treatment for it. Yeah,
there is a story too. It was something Knight, Knight. I forget what the first word of the title of the book is. I actually looked at it before I came down here to do the podcast so I could tell the listeners, but I can't remember. Anyways, that's the way it goes. But hey, man, let's quit talking about our everyday lives and jump into the podcast and talk about some video games. And usually we talk about the games we're playing at the beginning of the show, and then we move on to the news, followed up by games that are coming out. And we are going to talk about some Black Friday deals. But before we get to that, I just want to say that, you and I have been talking for a couple shows now over and over about what our winter games are going to be. And we're kind of like him-hawing about. We discussed the Mass Effect trilogy, which is Mass Effect something collection, I think. Mass Effect something.
Legendary Edition.
Legendary Edition, yeah, which is a little misleading on the title because the first game was called Mass Effect. So if you buy Mass Effect Legendary Edition, it almost sounds like you're just buying the first game with like DLC. And I was like, man, I got to make sure I'm buying all 3 here because I'm not paying like big bucks for just the first game. So anyways, we discussed doing that. So I combed over some Black Friday deals, which we'll get to later, but some went live. And what I did recently was I picked up Resident Evil Village for $20 from Best Buy. Now it's the PS5 disc, and we'll talk more about this. And then I went to the PSN. I was gonna get the Mass Effect Legendary Edition from Best Buy as well, and I had it in my cart, and every time I tried to buy it, it said, sorry, shipping is not available for this item, even though it gave me the option to click ship, and it was going to charge me like $4 for it. And it was still cheaper from the big box store than it was on the PSN, but it got to the point where I was just like, you know what, forget about it. Just forget about it. I'm just going to get it on the PSN if it's on sale there. And it was on sale for $35, but you can get it cheaper in the disc version, but I think you might have to go to Best Buy. And who the hell knows? Maybe Walmart will have it cheaper. I don't know. I don't know the deets on it all. But anyway, so I picked those 2 titles up, and I think those are going to be my winter focus because I don't really see anything else being released this winter that really is going to jive with me per se. So maybe in February. I know we got Dying Light coming out in February, which we'll talk more about that. But I can't think of any other games. The first quarter is going to be kind of wild, right? But I'm thinking more March is when shit's going to hit the fan. Maybe not January, February. So we'll see.
I think Horizon comes out in February.
Yeah, I'm getting that. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I saw the cheapest I saw for Mass Effect was $25 at Walmart or Best Buy or one of those places. But to me, it's almost like... for me, it's honestly almost worth the extra $10 to have it be digital.
Yeah.
Than to have the fucking disc.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about that. We're going to get to that when we talk about the Black Friday deals because it's surprising that let's not jump the gun. We'll get to a new, we're going to have a good discussion about this and yeah, hang tight. But yes, Jake, what do you play? I'm not playing anything. I beat another boss in Darkest Dungeon, slowly but surely, whittling away at that game, and I love it still. What are you playing?
I beat Far Cry 6, And so basically I've been playing Forza Horizon 5 like I talked about last week. I've been kind of playing that. It's still really good. To me, it's like everything Need for Speed should have like aspired to be, but it seems like Need for Speed has been struggling over the past 10 years. And then I downloaded Skyrim Legendary Edition. No, the fuck's it called? Anniversary Edition.
Is that the new one?
Yeah. And I installed it and I started it, got through. For anyone who's familiar with Skyrim, there's like the first section where you create your character and then like some shit happens and then like you go through this cave thing and then the world just opens up. I basically got to the point where I was able to do whatever the fuck I wanted and then quit. So maybe about, I don't know,
an hour,
20, 30 minutes into the game, not very far. I don't know if I'm going to jump back into that or not. It depends if I get Mass Effect or not. I've been looking at other games on Black Friday sales and stuff like that, and it seems like Black Friday they just kind of aren't really trying this year.
Yeah. You got to get Black Friday because we're going to do that, right? We're doing that with the podcast. You got to.
Oh. You're talking about.
Did I say you got to get Black Friday? You got to get Black Friday, man.
No. I'm gonna get Mass Effect.
Yeah.
It's just it's in terms of if I'm gonna buy it on Black Friday or not. I assume
retail it's like 60, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I assume unless like there's a screaming deal, otherwise I'll probably end up just picking it up on the PSN just so I can download it right away and it won't be physical version. But I'm guessing I'll probably jump into that at some point. But as far as what I'm playing right now, it's basically just Forza Horizon 5. I've been kind of traveling some for work, so I haven't really had a whole lot of time to do much gaming otherwise.
Fair enough, yeah. Sometimes life gets in the way of living, man. Oftentimes it does, unfortunately. But, games will always be there when we have time to play them. So the nominations, real quick. Let's go to the news now. So the Game Awards were announced. They're going to have like the live event with people in the flesh now. They're not doing it over the thing. It might be a limited audience. Who knows? But the Game Awards nominations have been announced, and I have had a page pulled up, and here we go. Yes, here they go. So we're going to take a quick look at them, Jake. And what I thought was strange to me, we'll start at the big one, right? So Game of the Year. This was weird to me, but I guess maybe it's not. So Game of the Year nominees for the 2021 Game Awards. Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, which I know you played. I think you did. And Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Resident Evil Village. I think it's... Now, I didn't even play Returnal, but I think it's strange that it's not on Game of the Year. Like a game like It Takes Two, I think it did do some really cool stuff. But if I don't know.
I think it's a weird list. I don't necessarily think that Returnal should be on there, but I think that it's a bizarre list.
Game of the Year.
Can you say them again?
Yeah. So Deathloop, which I haven't played, so I can't understand that because I didn't play it. And then It Takes Two, which is Hazelight, the people who did A Way Out and also did Brothers, and they did another game. This is the two-person co-op game about a family that is in distress, about a husband and wife in distress. That game apparently is really something special. So I can see that being on there, honestly. And then there's Metroid Dread, which was on Nintendo. And then Psychonauts 2, made by Double Fine. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Insomniac, PlayStation exclusive, and Resident Evil Village by Capcom. There weren't really a ton of really amazing games that came out, though, really, in 2021. What do you think about that list? I mean, like, If I had to guess which game was going to take it, I can't imagine them giving it to a Sony. Well, I can because Last of Us got it before. Maybe Ratchet and Clank, but I don't think Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was the best Ratchet and Clank game we've ever had. So I don't understand. The ones prior to this weren't on the list. Why did Rift Apart get on there?
So I don't really understand Ratchet and Clank being on there.
I don't either. It's a good game, but it's...
I don't know a lot about Metroid Dread, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
Deathloop and It Takes Two are both kind of like... They're kind of hits, so I can kind of believe that. Psychonauts 2, I think, probably belongs on there.
I haven't played Village.
I have not played Resident Evil 8 yet, but I've heard it's good, but I don't know. It would be interesting to me if it was Game of the Year good. Like, to me, it almost feels like Resident Evil and Ratchet and Clank are sort of like, oh, we needed to get 6 on this list. Mm-hmm. So let's just pick 2 big games that were released.
Some AAA titles, right? Some games that are big deals.
Like, one of the things that's really kind of blowing my mind is that they don't have Hitman 3 on here. Mm-hmm. A lot of people that I've read and listened to via podcast or news sites or whatever have talked about just how amazing Hitman 3 is. And maybe it's because it's just another Hitman game is why it's not on the list or whatever. But it seems kind of bizarre to me to not at least be in contention. I'm looking through like a list.
Yeah, why not to have the hat in the ring, right? Well, we can move on to some of the categories. I'm not going to go through. There's like 30 categories. We're not going to go through them all. The best game direction, you can think about Game of the Year while I talk about this real quick, is all the same games, sans Resident Evil and Metroid Dread, and they added Returnal for best game direction. So I
could see that for Returnal, yeah. That, I mean, I definitely don't see Returnal being a Game of the Year contender, but I can definitely see it in like the game direction category because it's a very interesting and unique game. I know that people have issues with the way that the save system and stuff works, and maybe a little bit of the balancing, but I think that just generally overall, it's a very well put together piece of art. It's kind of interesting to me that 2 of the 5 games in game direction are roguelike games, which is a trend that I'm not super thrilled about.
Yeah, me either.
Even though I did really like Returnal. I hope Psychonauts gets one of these.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's really a great game, and I hope that it's not overshadowed in the Game Awards because of something like Deathloop, which got way more, people gave it 10 out of 10 and shit like that. But it's like, I think Psychonauts 2 is going to get passed over because it's kind of like a kid's game. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean that in that it's for kids so much, is that it's much more approachable for all ages. It's not like, like last year, it's like The Last of Us Part 2 won.
Right.
It's like, I partially feel like that game won. Like, a lot of times I feel like the game that just has the edgiest fucking story ends up winning.
They have a category this year. It's called Games for Impact. Like, what the fuck kind of category is that? It's like... what
does that even mean?
I'm guessing it's a game that's supposed to make you think or like change your thought process or impact you in like a crazy way. But that's such a redundant title. Like, aren't all games supposed to impact you somehow? Like, I don't understand why.
Unless they're talking about.
It doesn't really describe the category. It just says Games for Impact. And it's weird. It's games that I don't really understand the titles of. Life is Strange True Colors is on there by Deck 9. Chikoroi, Boyfriend Dungeon, Before Your Eyes, No Longer Home. But one of the ones that I really want to see, a game I really want to see take home at least one award is Kena. Bridge of Spirits. That game was made by like 13 people, which is insane to me. Dude, that game was made by so few people, and it's really interesting. It's up for Best Debut Indie. It's up for Best Indie against 12 Minutes, Death's Door, Inscription, and Loop Hero. I bet you it wins on that. Best Debut.
What's that?
Kena, Bridge of Spirits.
I'd be... honestly, it could be 12 Minutes or Death's Door. I know 12 Minutes is super divisive.
We haven't played Death's Door yet, have we?
No.
That's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
think it hasn't come out on PlayStation yet.
Yeah.
But Death's Door is supposedly really good. 12 Minutes is just one of those games that could win because it's
so different.
Because it's different, and because it's like I was talking about with The Last of Us last year, just because it's so like the story is just so heavy. I haven't played it, so I don't know, but like from what I've heard,
well,
the Inscription game looks cool. I don't know if you've heard anything about that.
I haven't. No.
It's like a card game, but it's like you're actually sitting there playing the card game, and between games you're like you get up and move around, and there's like other aspects.
It's like a card game simulator. It's like
well, no, but it's like I don't know exactly how to describe it because I don't really. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It seems interesting, I guess is what I should say. I don't know anything about it, but it seems like an interesting new concept gameplay wise.
Well, we don't need to go through them all. I just wanted to put them on the show, so at least let the listeners know that hey, this list is out. Maybe in a podcast or two, you and I will make some picks. We'll pick the 10 most interesting categories and make a pick. I don't feel
I could see Kenna winning Best Art Direction. Because that game looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it looks really good. It's like one of those things with these awards shows. I haven't played all of the games that came out, so I almost don't feel like I should. I mean, yeah, we're going to vote for the games that we played, right? Like, oh, I know that one. Yeah, let that one win. It's almost like a who's who. To a degree amongst fans, you know what I mean? It's like, how many people that are voting on some of these have actually played all of the games? Are they just voting for the one that had the loudest mouth, right? The games that were the advertising pushed at us the most, that we're told is the best one, right? How many people actually have played them all and through to be able to make that choice? So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. And what does it really matter? I just wanted to put it on the podcast. I thought it was interesting that those are out. And I would like to see Kena win, and maybe you're right. Maybe it'll win that. And I do hope that Return will get something. And I don't really know that Ratchet is deserving of anything. I really like the game. I like the game a lot. I don't mean to trash talk it, because I'm not at all. I thought it was so endearing. I thought it was great, but I don't know it was the best Ratchet game. I think I enjoyed the one that came out prior to this one better. I forget what it was called. Ratchet and Clank.
It was just called Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, the remake of the first one, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that game. I don't know. There was something about it. I think the time travel shit just kind of boggled my mind a little bit. Like a time travel, the dimension stuff. It wasn't even time traveling. It wasn't a way. But it kind of messed me up, like following the story a little bit. So anytime that's user error. That's my problem, not anyone else's. But I don't know that the story resonated with me as much as the one I played prior. But I do love the franchise, and I love the series, and I love what they're doing with it. The gameplay in itself was just so nice, so sweet. So anyways, there's a fantastic 15-minute clip going around the internet of Mark Cerny. If you guys don't know who he is, he pretty much designed the PS5 and PS4. And he's talking about the decisions that he made and they made as Sony and why they made them. And it's really a kind of fun technical video for anyone who's interested. He uses a lot of technical words that you might not know what they mean. And he tries to break them down and explain the choices they had to make. And it's actually, the video is from a Wired magazine interview, which is kind of interesting because Wired's really been a weird outlet for Sony in regards to the PS5. I think they gave some of the first info on the PS5, Wired magazine. And it's just a weird it's a weird relationship they have there. I'm not sure I really understand why Wired is the conduit for these cool things.
They must be paying for exclusives or something, because I don't know that Wired's really all that relevant anymore otherwise.
I actually get Wired magazine. It's weird because it's always like $5 for like 2 years subscription or something. It's like the ridiculously low, and so I just get them to the house, and I write on them to make set lists and stuff. They always have like really interesting visual art stuff on them, and I use the pages for that, and I kind of read articles here and there. But yeah, it's just really weird. Yeah, you're right. I don't think they're wildly relevant, but I don't know. I mean, it's just a weird relationship. Like, why did Sony take that path? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, there probably is some sort of behind the scenes handshakes going on there between the two of them. Maybe they're working with Sony to have like some sort of Wired app on the PS5 where you can explore their content in an interesting way or something for their magazine. Because I know they have an interesting app for iOS and stuff, and it's really cool. It makes their articles like really interactive. It's really interesting. So maybe they're developing something. It's hard to say. Anyways, Dying Light 2, which was announced back in 2018, has seen multiple delays, but the lead game developer for Dying Light 2 indicated that there's no way this game isn't being released in February 2022. Dying Light, of course, is being developed by Techland Studios. And Jake, you said you watched some of the trailers and stuff for this game, and you said the graphics really weren't doing it for you. They definitely look last gen. I think it looks really good, but I don't know, man. Welcome to the PS This Is Awesome Patreon page. For those of you that don't know, my name is Fred Oakman.
And I'm Jake Peters.
And we're a PlayStation podcast currently in our 10th year. Our first episode aired in July of 2012, where we discussed and speculated on the arrival of the PS4. Over the years, we've used this podcast to take a break from adulting, share our love of video games, and in particular, PlayStation.
The audio podcast is available on all major streaming services, and we have recently made the leap to uploading video content and video podcasting to our YouTube channel, as well as the very occasional Twitter post or live stream. Over the years, we have covered everything from PS3 to PS Vita through the launches of PS4, PSVR, and now PS5. As our audience has grown over the years, we have decided to start this Patreon with the hopes of creating a medium in which we can give you the opportunity to help support our show.
And as a test bed, we're starting with a single tier. It's called the one and only $1 Club. So with your support at the $1 level, we're going to mail you a premium vinyl cut sticker and give you a shout out on the podcast. But at this time, unfortunately, we can only ship to the US and Canada. But this is subject to change depending on your interest.
So whether you're new to the show or you're a frequent flyer, we are forever thankful for your support and hope you can find it in your little gaming heart to join us in the one and only $1 Club. Until next time, like PlayStation, podcasting, and Patreon, P.S. This is awesome.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me if Dying Light pushed into February to
up-res it.
Well, I was gonna say to try and give themselves a little space from Halo, because there really isn't anything incredibly amazing, let's say, or big coming out in December other than Halo.
Yeah.
I know that there was some news I was reading recently where I think it was Call of Duty Warzone decided to delay the release of their newest map until they're literally decided to change it until the day that fucking Halo comes out, which I think is kind of a interesting move. I think they're trying to keep people from going to Halo because Halo's multiplayer is also going to be free to play. So I think they're worried that people are going to jump ship when that comes out.
Yeah, it's very possible.
But that'll be kind of an interesting turn of events. But I mean, that's outside of the PlayStation ecosystem. I'm just guessing that. I don't know this for sure. So what I was thinking, I guess what I'm driving at is like, it could be that Dying Light 2 is basically ready. It's just that they wanted to push it to kind of let Halo breathe a little bit and kind of jump in whenever the dust has settled.
Yeah.
Although I think there's other shit coming out in February.
Well, we said Horizon is, right?
Horizon comes out in February.
I don't know what else.
But it doesn't come out until 2 weeks after Dying Light. Mm-hmm. So, it's not really a bad space to be.
And good on Techland, though, for doing that, because how often do we criticize companies for releasing their game when all these big titles are being released? We're like, what are you guys doing? Like, why are you trying to compete with that when you can just push it out a month or two? You know what I mean? So good on them if that is the plan. So, I don't know. Interesting. What do you think? Good on Techland or shame on them?
No, it's fine. I honestly think that it's good. Mostly because they're a third-party studio. If they were like a Sony exclusive, I wouldn't think that was the case. Probably just because Halo's not on PlayStation, so there's no real reason for them to delay it out of Halo's way.
Right.
But because they're a third-party game, and which is on both platforms, and because it's kind of had some trials and tribulations getting out at this point anyway. It might just be they're just like, fuck it, what if we would just wait another month, we'll polish it up a little bit more, and then we can clear Halo. And then they're actually the first game in that like rush of games in February, so they're kind of coming out ahead of everybody else, which is good, because even though Horizon comes out a couple weeks later, one, I think that's enough time, but two, I also think that it's going to benefit them being out the first week of February.
Yeah. So I don't know. The game's interesting. I have trouble playing those zombie games, man. Like I had, what was the one game that came out for PS3 or PS4? It was a zombie game. It wasn't Dying Light. It was a lot like it. It was something, Dead Island. Mm-hmm. And I got through it, man, but I don't like getting chased by fucking zombies in games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it makes me nervous. Like, it's unsettling. Like, I can do Last of Us. But when they're like, and they're chasing you, and like you have to go out at night and do like fetch missions, you're just like, man, I don't want to fuck with that. I don't know, man. The game looks good though. It does look good. I don't know if you heard about this, Jake, but you are kind of more in touch with the sport world than I am. But did you hear about this thing between EA and FIFA? Have you heard about this?
About FIFA, them not renewing their contract?
Yeah. So EA obviously they released the FIFA games, but the actual FIFA, which stands for the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, are asking EA for more cash to use that acronym, to use that. And EA's like, no, we're not going to pay up. So there's this back and forth going on and on. So it's likely we may see a rebranding of the FIFA games in the future. It just seems like a weird, it's a weird, what would they call it? Soccer?
Well, they're going to probably call it like
World Cup.
I don't know, EA Sports Football or something like that. It's
FIFA's a good
I understand
brand,
why. I understand why they don't want to renew it, because FIFA wants like $1 billion fucking dollars to be able to use their title or their name.
Yeah, and it's literally just an acronym.
Yeah, to be clear, this is literally just to put FIFA on the game name.
Right,
it has
not
nothing
to use
to
the
do
players,
with
the team.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the players or anything. So it could be an opportunity if they were really willing to make the gamble for Konami to pick it up and put FIFA in front of their new soccer game. Because honestly,
Konami probably has the cash, man.
Like, most people are just going to pick up the game called FIFA. They're not even going to pay attention to if it's the EA game or.
Oh my god, dude, that'd be a great underhanded magic trick by Konami if they did. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it would cost them. Like, I think they literally want like something like $400 million to use the FIFA license. So
a year?
It's for whatever the contract is. Yeah. It's like, probably, I don't know, maybe 5 years or something. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure, but it's a shitload. So now, granted, EA makes probably $1 billion a year on FIFA. So what does that mean? I don't know. You know what I mean?
They're not gonna have Konami get smart. That'd be such a power move by Konami. Could you imagine if they did that? Because the average gamer is not gonna know.
They're really not.
If you just called your game FIFA, whatever, FIFA 22, it's a completely fucking different game, dude. That'd be hilarious.
It would be.
Oh, that'd be so rad. I'm into that. Man, you're right on the money with that. That would be interesting if that unfolded that way. It's highly unlikely, but that would be really funny. It'd be a great news story. Anyhow, yeah, I don't know. Hey, Activision, we're still under heavy scrutiny after the whole allegations about the sexual stuff that was going on and the treatment of their employees. And I gotta say, man, it's really nice to hear that Jim Ryan, who's head of PlayStation, he apparently gave a private tongue lashing to the way Activision was handling their shit via internal emails to other PlayStation employees, which surfaced. And essentially, Jim Ryan was highlighting that Sony is, and I put in parentheses or quotations, committed to ensuring our community of developers and gamers feel safe and respected and providing a secure work environment for every employee. End of the quotes. And according to Push Square, he even went as far as to direct any PlayStation employees to immediately report any harassment or discrimination. And it was just kind of nice to see that this was a behind-the-scenes email, not really directed towards the public, not being made to give them they're saying the right things, they're doing the right things just because they have to, right? This was an internal email that wasn't meant to be found out or surfaced, and it was snuffed out though. And it's just nice to see that his words seem to keep in line with what I feel like PlayStation kind of stands for. And it was, this was something that had nothing to do with them directly, but he was like, hey, as a reminder, motherfuckers, if shit's going sideways and you're uncomfortable here or if bad things are happening, make sure you report it, And it's cool to have that, it was just kind of nice to see. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's good, especially with some of the stuff that's been coming out, and it's not even just in games. Mm-hmm. To give you another horrible example. I mean, longtime listeners know I'm a big hockey fan, and there's this huge fucking shitstorm happening in the NHL right now, where one of the NHL teams, the Chicago Blackhawks, were found to have covered up basically one of their players was sexually assaulted and by one of the coaches right before the Stanley Cup run in 2010.
Oh wow.
And they covered it up because they didn't want it to impact their run to winning the Stanley Cup. And the guy that assaulted this player went on, after being a member of the Blackhawks organization, they kind of quietly allowed him to resign, and he ended up going on to freaking volunteer, because they didn't do anything about it. He ended up going to volunteer at a high school hockey team, and he ended up getting charged raping a fucking 16-year-old boy.
Jesus, because they covered it up when it happened.
Because they didn't turn him in. They didn't do the right thing because they wanted to protect their fucking cup. And so
I didn't hear anything about any of that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's not a huge. I mean, it's huge within the hockey world, but it's not it's not I wouldn't say it's a worldwide story, especially with everything else that's going on in the world right now. But I guess I'm just trying to highlight the fact that I'm not glad that these things happen, but I'm glad that it's becoming a world in which people can feel safe enough to come out and really start to get these things out in the light, Yeah,
it's just nice to see that, a person who runs PlayStation be so clear with the employees, like, hey, if this is happening, you need to tell somebody. Like, we're not going to shove the shit under the rug. We're going to address it. So make sure you speak up. It's just nice to, because I'm sure when you're in the situation and shit's going on, like, you're like, fuck, man, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to say shit. This is uncomfortable. This is weird. But to have like the boss, just to get an internal email, even if it was like sent from like, CC all PlayStation employees, boom, Jim Ryan signed off, boom's been edited, went over like 500 times by probably a secretary or whatever. But just the fact that it happened and it was meant as an internal thing is kind of cool. And the fact that he kind of gave a lashing to Activision, how they handled this whole situation in that email, apparently is interesting. So some of that comes from Push Square for sure. And I don't know where this email surfaced or how they found it, but it's just, like I said, it's just kind of nice because, PlayStation really does seem like an all-inclusive company. And I don't know, it was just kind of nice to see, it was just kind of like uplifting to be like, yeah, we're big PlayStation fans. We support the company, and for them to kind of do something like that with the spotlight's not on them, right? Like many people will say and do the right thing when everybody's looking, but to do the right thing when no one's paying attention speaks volumes of somebody's character and like what they stand for. Now, granted, he didn't even have to address this. He didn't have to say anything, but the fact that he did, I think, speaks a lot about like their direction. So, and like you said, it's being put out there, which is kind of nice and interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Hey, let's talk about SIFU a little bit, Jake. SIFU, that's the Kung Fu game, the fighting game, the brawler game that we talked about, where we picked up on the guy was getting older when they first showed this game. It's getting released February 8th, so this is a February game. They've pushed the day a little earlier, and apparently the mechanic, the way that it works, is that the more you die, the faster you become older. And the reason is that when you do die in the game, it's kind of like a Souls-ish kind of game, the player is given the option to revive themselves after you die, I think, to start in the same-ish area, so you don't have to go through all the shit you just went through. But when you are revived, you get a little bit older every time. So eventually you get so fucking old that you can't continue any further. So you have to be very choosy about when you choose to revive, which I think is kind of an interesting take on the Souls thing. Like, yeah, we'll let you like just spawn here. But so
if you don't revive, do you go back to like some previous checkpoint?
I don't know for sure. I would hope so.
Some progress.
Yeah, I would hope so. Or maybe there is no checkpoint and you have to revive. But it just kind of advertised that it's a choice for the player to choose to revive. So it's not like you every time you die you just get a little older. I think it's your choice. So you can go back to the start or wherever you started and try to run through it again, or you can use up. So it's essentially like it's essentially an interesting way at looking at having a life counter, right? So like Mario, you get like 3 lives or whatever, and when they're up, they're up. So I wonder how many respawns the game allows you to do. How quick do you age? That's the next question. So it's kind of a neat mechanic.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Black Friday, Jake. There are deals among deals, and there are deals among other deals. And again, I'm going to run through some of the ones I saw, and you feel free to comment in any of these. Life is Strange True Colors, recently released. It is available on Amazon for $35. Returnal for $30 over at Walmart. And then on the PSN, and there's some Best Buy deals we talked about earlier. You mentioned maybe Mass Effect for $25 at Walmart, whatever, but you have to like go to the store to get it or pay for shipping or something. On the PSN, Alan Wake Remaster is $30. Resident Evil 3 Remake is $18. That was enticing. I'm pulling out the ones that look good to me. The Dark Pictures Anthology, which is the first, second, and third games, I believe, $40. And Jake, you said you were interested in those. Hades, $20. Which still seems, it's probably, it won a lot of awards. That's fine. Borderlands 3, $15. When you get under 20, that's when my ears start pricking up. Doom Eternal for $15. Watch Dogs Legion for $15. And Metro Exodus Gold Edition for $12. Those are the ones that stood out to me. I think that you can get the new Guardians of the Galaxy game somewhere. on sale, but I couldn't quite find it while I was putting the notes together. I think there is a deal on that one if you're interested.
It's on the PSN for $38.99.
There you go. That's what it is. So $39. So earlier in the show, Jake, I said that we were going to get to this and talk about something, and something you touched on about being digital versus physical discs on Black Friday. And you would rather pay a little more to have the digital. But here's the thing that I don't understand. I don't understand why PlayStation on their PSN, if they're pushing PSN, they want people to buy digital, they want to drive their store sales. There's like no overhead for maybe for the companies who are selling their games on the network or whatever, right? There's a little overhead for them. PlayStation takes a cut, the publisher takes a cut, the developer takes a cut. It all gets broken down into pennies probably. But why are the Black Friday deals on the PSN not as good as the Black Friday deals at like Best Buy or Walmart or wherever? Because if PlayStation wanted to make a killing, they would just have it be the same price. But like I said, I couldn't get the Mass Effect Legendary Edition cheaper on the PSN. I'd have to go to Best Buy. If you want people to look at your store and attend your store and look at it and see what the fuck you're selling, have some deals that are comparable. I don't know. It's frustrating to me. And it's digital. Well, it's not like you're like paying for a actual fucking product. It costs more to ship a thing through a distributor, to get to Best Buy, to go to wherever. There's a lot more overhead there. And I don't know.
The problem is that most people now have the same feelings that I do. And because Sony controls the store, they can put these games on sale for enough of a deal that... So there's two things. One, I think most people prefer digital now. So there's a little bit of a premium for that. And two, because these physical versions at Best Buy and Walmart and shit that are like maybe 10% cheaper or something like that, or 20% cheaper, there's no guarantee you're going to get one. They're going to be out of stock. They're going to sell out. They're going to not...
They're limited.
You're not going to be able to beat the grandma to the fucking pallet of games to be able to get the one that you want and shit.
Of games.
And so but digital stuff, it's all there all the time.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you decide to buy it with 1 minute left in the sale on Black Friday or whenever it ends, you can get that price. So they're being kind of intelligent about it, in my opinion, in that they're discounting the games enough that even though you might grumble a little bit about the price comparison, you'll still buy it.
That's what I did with Mass Effect. Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, so I
gave in.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy, and I think that it ultimately works for them. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. But I agree with you. I think from just the perspective of, if you're talking about logistics and cost and all of that, it makes sense that if you're comparing apples to apples, that the digital version of the game should be cheaper. But probably what a lot of these big box stores are doing is they're like, okay, we're going to sell Mass Effect Legendary Edition physical version for $25, but we're only going to stock 5 copies of it at each store. So even though even though in their warehouse they may have 100 copies for every store, they may only put the special green sticker on it at fucking Walmart on 5 copies of it. And so I think there's more to it than meets the eye. I don't think that I don't know. You get what I'm saying.
I know exactly. There's a numbers game going on, right? And some of these big box stores are clearly willing to take a little bit of a loss, maybe, on some of these games. And there might also be to get people in there, right? Sally needs to get her kid Ben Mass Effect for $25, so she's going to hit our store first, and then while she's here, she's going to get this deal and that deal and this deal and this deal, and maybe pick up a couple sweaters for the kids, or maybe pick up a new pair of socks, and then it's like, okay, cool. Then the loss they took on the game, they make back on other sales. So I get that. But I guess the other thing is too, I'm curious, how much say do the developers or the publisher even have on what other people choose to sell their game for? And like maybe because of their agreements with the PSN, they can say you can go as low as this, but maybe once it gets to like a big box store and the physical copies are in hand, they can do whatever the fuck they want to do with them because they're already paid for.
Well, I think that's the way that it works, right? With digital games, the developer doesn't get paid until a digital copy of the game is sold. With physical games, the developer gets paid
first
whenever the fucking store buys 500,000 copies of their game. So it doesn't matter if Walmart sells all the games. They already paid the developers for them.
It cost, right? Yeah.
So, they already own those games. They bought them already.
Yeah.
So it's, as far as the developer is concerned, as far as the
store
retailer is concerned, they can sell it for whatever the fuck they want because it's their game.
So it's their choice whether they want to take a loss on it or sell it the suggested retail value or somewhere in between, right? It's their choice.
Yeah.
So they're willing to sell them for less, hoping to beat out the PSN, hoping to do this and that and the other. That's interesting, though. But it is frustrating, man, because how nice would it have been if I could have picked up Mass Effect for $25 on the PSN? Would have been great. Or Village for $20 digital, so I don't have to fuck with the disc, right? But I went 20 Best Buy because they would ship it. I think Village is on sale for like 28 or something on the PSN digital. So it was like $8.
This would all be fixed, and I know they're not going to do it because eventually physical games are going to die. But like, this would all be fixed if they just serialized the discs. Because then if a disc was serialized, then they could just give you a fucking digital code with the physical version of the game. And then you just download it. And you could buy either the physical version if you want like to have the physical copy, but you don't want to necessarily put the disc in your fucking console every time you play.
It's like,
but you want the collector's item.
Yeah, it's like buying a vinyl record, man. Like when you buy a vinyl record now, you get a download code for it, and it's good for like 5 downloads. I guess the problem is though with games, the value of games is so much more than like a vinyl record. Well, it's arguable. I think a record maybe sometimes be worth more than a fucking video game. But the thing is like it's just interesting. I don't mean to cut you off, but like it's. How do you do that so that code can't be used multiple times by different people? And how do you keep hackers from figuring out how to crack those codes, right? Because there's so many places.
Well, what I'm saying is that you serialize the disc. So the disc is attached to your PSN. So if you put you put the disc in your console, it attaches to your PSN like a download code, and then now you can just download the game. You don't have to have the disc in. You've proved that you bought it by having the disc and putting it in one time. If somebody else puts that disc in their console, because the disc is serialized, it's going to be like, oh, hey, this game is actually owned by someone else.
You can't download it, but you can use the disc to play it. That's what they need to figure out.
I would say you couldn't even use the disc
because then you wouldn't be able to rent games. That would be the problem.
That's fine with me.
It's fine with me too, but that's part
rentals.
of the
they
issue,
shouldn't exist
right?
anymore
You can't use a used video game then. So maybe you should be able to play it off the disc so long as you have the disc, but the disc grants you a download to the first console you put it in.
Most of those games now aren't even fully on the disc anymore anyway.
That's true. So, man, it's such a complicated thing, but it could be solved so easily somehow. Serializing, I think, is the trick. I think you're onto something, but it's an interesting conversation we're having because I'm not sure what the answer is. And if you're listening and you have a solution to this, please write in by all means. psisawesome@gmail.com. But let's move on a little bit, man. What a good conversation. I appreciate you being on the show, bud. I love talking that kind of stuff with you. But yeah, I don't know.
The one thing I will say about shopping for games, this has always been a big pet peeve of mine because I've been kind of browsing the PSN at like the Black Friday games and stuff.
Yeah.
And I want Sony in the PSN to give me a sorting option. So they give you a sorting option for if you want a full game or you want an add-on or like a bundle or whatever. Like, why there should be an option that sorts out like all of the bullshit for games like Fortnite and The Sims and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it literally, I shouldn't, if I click add-on, I want there to be a thing that's just DLC for games, where it's like expansions and stuff like that. And I'm not literally inundated with 5,000 fucking character packs for The Sim 4.
Oh yeah, the character packs need to go.
Yeah, or like fucking 30 like rows of just money for Fortnite.
Yeah, right.
Or something like that.
Buy 300 coins for Fortnite for $5 on sale.
It's like, okay, I get that stuff is on sale, but like make a section that's like freaking
in-game currency or something.
Yeah, what do you call that? You call that like
pay to play, man. No, play to win, pay to win. Not always, but that's what I call it.
I mean, it's part of that.
Dude, I'll never buy
microtransactions.
Yes, thank you. There it is.
Okay, so like, and I get that like some of these people, like the Fortnite people, are going to be like, this fucking character that looks like a rock and roll guy. I mean, that's not a microtransaction. That's like an expansion skin. It's like, no, fuck, it's a fucking microtransaction. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't add anything to the game. It literally is just a skin for your character. All that microtransaction shit should just be thrown in a big fucking pile. That has an icon that looks like a dumpster on fire, and that should just be literally where all that stuff goes whenever they have stuff for sale. Because there are times where I've literally just quit looking at sales on PSN
because you're inundated with that shit.
All this
shit. You get land-based.
Like I'm like, I don't care about this. I don't need anything that bad. Like I literally was looking on here for like, oh hey, maybe I have some games that have some expansions
you can get on the cheap,
that are on sale that I haven't picked up yet or whatever. You know, like what was it? I was looking for something specific. I can't remember. It was an expansion for something.
Phoenix and Phoenix Rising.
What's that?
Phoenix Rising, maybe.
Yeah, it was that, or there was another one like the
what the hell?
Fuck, I can't remember now. But like,
it's late.
Why can't I just why can't I just find it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know, thankfully it's not like too crazy with the Black Friday deals, but like on a normal sale where there's like 200 games and there's like 400 or 500 items of DLC on sale. It's like, okay, enough, guys. Like, I don't need, 15 rows of Fortnite add-ons before I get to, like, the one Outer Worlds expansion that I'm looking for.
Yeah, they should put, like, substantial expansions first and then maybe have a subheading of, like, instead of just calling it an add-on, they need to call it, like... I don't know. Maybe instead
they need to call it like expansions or something. Like give it some kind of a tag.
Another term. Maybe microtransaction is probably not the best because that sheds like a negative light on the stuff because it's such a that word has become kind of synonymous with taking advantage of teenagers and kids and the gambling aspect of it. But maybe they do need a different term for it. And you said it should be a picture of a dumpster fire. And I just imagine like this little bitmap of like a kid just holding out his hand like to his parent, like, here, give me $5. I need to buy like this fucking skin or this sound that plays every time I get a headshot or something. You know what I mean? Like, God, that stuff is just aggravating.
I mean, it's making these companies like fucking literally billions of dollars. But at the same time, as like a focused gamer, and by that I mean like someone who knows what I want to play and like I'm just trying to like enjoy my hobby. I don't know. It just feels like these things are just buzzing around my head all the time when I'm trying to enjoy my hobby. It's annoying.
Thrown at you, yeah.
To be fair to any listeners out there who are interested in Fortnite or Call of Duty or any of these ones that have like all of these microtransactions and you can buy money and all that kind of stuff, like I have nothing against that. I don't think that should be illegal or anything like that. Just maybe like it should have its own section in the PSN. And it should be all like part of the free to play stuff or whatever. And it shouldn't make it hard for me to find the things that I'm looking for just because Fortnite has the ability to, because honestly, it's all about, like sharing like screen time. If I'm scrolling through a list on the freaking deals and I see something Fortnite related 25% of the time that I'm looking at the screen when I'm searching through the deals, I mean, that's a marketing strategy. I mean, there's a reason why it's not just like one fucking icon that's like, get a bunch of shit for Fortnite. There's a reason why it's literally like 30 entries in the sale for Fortnite stuff, because it just inundates you. It brings your attention to that. And somebody who is interested in Fortnite is going to have a hard time resisting it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just the beast. You know what I mean? It's just the beast, man. Let's talk about some new games that are hitting the PlayStation Store. Maybe have already come and gone. This list is coming to you courtesy of Push Square. And some of these might have been on our list last week, but I don't think we had as many. And now it looks like they've really done up this list pretty big. So I'm going to try to go through this as fast as possible. Jake, if I say a game that you're remotely interested in, feel free to stop me and say something about it. November 15th, and we're recording this already, what is it, the 20th? So we're about a week behind on this list, but there's no newer list available. November 15th, Finger Fitness on the PS5. November 16th, Turvive. It's supposed to be like Survive, but the 2 is supposed to be like an S. It's stupid. Dandy Ace, Just Dance 2022, Kingdom 2 Crowns, Light Fairy Tale Episode 2, Marsupilami, Hoobadventure. It's all one game. Marsupilami Hoobadventure. Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1. That game kind of looked interesting when they first announced it, but I saw some gameplay trailers and stuff of it now, and it doesn't look very good. It's probably fine, but like it
just looks dated. It looks like single A. I mean, it just doesn't look, like it was made by fucking Naughty Dog.
Sure. Yeah. Yuki, November 17th. Grow, Song of the Evertree. Clang 2. Masto is Together. Ruined King, a League of Legends story. Surviving the Aftermath. The Last Stand, Aftermath. I don't know if those games are related or not, but it's really weird. They both have the word Aftermath in their title, and they put them right next to one another in the title. Well, it's alphabetical, I guess. And then the other one from November 17th was The Wild at Heart. December 18th, we had Airport Simulator Day and Night. Blood Rain Revamped. Blood Rain Revamped 2. Kid Amnesia exhibition, which is actually really rad, which is 2 Radiohead records, and it's free, and you can download it. I downloaded it. I forgot to mention this, and it's like an experience. So I'm going to check. I'm putting the headphones and experience that. I'm interested in that. That's PS5. And then Shaolin vs. Wu-Tang, which is actually sounds really awesome. Smoots Golf, Space Moth Lunar Edition, Tears of Avia, The Guy VR. November 19th, we got 20 Bunnies. Battlefield 2042, which I think is getting some negative press right now, negative reviews. Nerf Legends, Sushi Break 2, The Pig D. Would you like to run an idle cafe? And those are the games from Push Square. So nothing really hops out. The Kid Amnesia looks really cool. And the reason I pronounced it Kid Amnesia, because it's Kid A is the name of one of their records. I believe Amnesia is another one. They're kind of doing a smush there. Kid Amnesia Exhibition, which is kind of cool. Not a huge Radiohead fan. I know of some of their songs. I know they're really appreciated amongst musicians. Never really got super into them, but I'm curious to see what they're doing here.
So one of the things we didn't talk about is, like, I know we kind of basically skimmed through. There wasn't a whole lot of news this week.
No, there wasn't.
I tried looking up some news myself, and literally everything that I could find was about how broken the Grand Theft Auto trilogy is.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that shit, yeah.
And how disappointed people are in Battlefield 2042. And, like, neither of those things, I mean, I guess we could have talked about, like, how broken the Grand Theft Auto trilogy is, but, like, it's not really that big of a deal, other than the fact that it's kind of fucking annoying that yet another game is being released by a big ass publisher.
Yeah.
In just a totally fucking broken state. We talked about this last week, so I'm not gonna go into it again, but this isn't like some fucking 2-bit indie studio. This is Rockstar and Take-Two releasing 3 of the most beloved games of all time
that they've already created, right?
Broken state.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, it's really weird.
I don't know. Like I think I was reading that they actually pulled it from fucking PC stores.
Wow, it's that bad, huh?
And they're putting the old versions of the games back on the PC stores.
Yeah, because they pulled them off so they could sell this thing.
It's absolutely insane to me. Like, why not just check to make like, I know that like Rockstar didn't make these expansions. They hired somebody to do it, but it's like, make sure your shit's not fucking broken before you release it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Precisely.
It's frustrating because I'd be really mad. Like, literally what this tells me is just never ever pre-order a game ever again.
It's what it's boiling down to.
Like, I'm literally, like, it's gotten to the point now where it's like, unless a freaking review comes out before embargo that's like, this game is great, don't worry about it, just go ahead and buy it.
It's
then okay,
safe.
I might pick it up. But other than that, like, I'm gonna wait until 2, 3, 4, 5 days, a week after a game launches until I see what the community has to say about it, because I can't trust these developers anymore.
Fool me once, shame on you, Jake. Fool me twice,
dude. It was bad enough when I pre-ordered the Order 1886.
Oh.
And I pre-ordered No Man's Sky. Now, to be fair, I didn't have a huge issue with No Man's Sky like a lot of people did when it came out. But I don't know. It just seems to
my
me
Cyberpunk experience was a letdown. Although I really enjoyed the game. I still stand by the game.
Yeah, I mean, Cyberpunk really... You would think that after the Cyberpunk fiasco,
no one would be doing
avoided this.
Yeah, no one would have fucking been.
But like, I don't know. I mean, I just, especially now with digital storefronts and the fact that you can get any game anytime you want.
Yeah,
there's really no reason to pre-order games anymore. Like, why bother?
Yeah,
unless you want to have it like installed so you could play it at midnight the day
you're taking like a sick day the next day at work or something, so you can get your gaming in, and you want to be ready right at midnight to get that controller fired up.
I don't know that there are games. I don't think there's a single game anymore that would make me do that. The last time I think that I actually got a game at midnight and fucking played it at midnight was when Skyrim launched, and that was in 2011. Now, don't get me wrong, I've pre-ordered games and pre-installed them so that they would be ready to go in the morning when I woke up the launch day.
But staying up to the crack of dawn.
But like, you know, it's just.
Well, we're getting older, man.
I get it. I know that we're like maybe a different perspective than some gamers, but like, even like the kids out there that this is like their life and shit like that, unless you're a professional and you're like your livelihood depends on you having this game reviewed,
you're trying to compete
for launch or something, if you're a streamer or whatever, if that's not the case, believe me, it is so worth it to just be a little bit patient. Your life isn't going to be any less good if you wait one day to see what happens on launch day or the day after before you buy the game, because these companies, they rely on those pre-order numbers, and it allows them to cook their books and shit like that for budgetary reasons, and all, like, they like almost nefariously try to get you to pre-order things. It's like, okay, you pre-order the digital version of Guardians of the Galaxy and you get like all of this shit that literally costs them nothing to give you. Like, oh, you get like a digital fucking doohickey and like a skin for whatever and like this extra vehicle thing that literally has no impact whatsoever other than the fact that it looks cool. And I don't know. I don't have to go on the rant anymore, but it's like I think that it's especially with digital games. Like, I literally don't understand pre-orders at all.
It's weird. Yeah, I understand wanting to have it available, and like I said, if you have a planned day off or something, or if you like, the thing is, I don't know the last time I stayed up till midnight because I have such a hard time staying up even this late. It's almost 10:30 at night, and I'm getting tired. You probably see me yawn a few times, and I have trouble staying up later, man. The older I get, but like I might have dipped my toes into The Last of Us 2 when it came out right away. I don't know that I did. Maybe the first Last of Us. Maybe I did. But, like, if I did, I don't remember doing that, which just speaks volumes about what you're trying to tell everybody. It's like, yeah, I mean, like, the thing is like, I'd rather start a brand new game that I'm stoked on with a fresh set of eyes and, like, a little bit of caffeine in my system in the morning, a nice breakfast, and just sit down and make a day of it. Then, like, try to push through the wee hours just to get a little bit of gaming in, to be like, oh man, I got this as soon as it drops. Yeah, I don't know, but that's an old man talking to a young kid probably, but I don't know.
I mean, there were plenty of times, don't get me wrong, there were plenty of times when I was in high school and stuff, and I'd be up late doing shit.
Yeah, right. I think it's a perspective thing, though, a big part of it. But I think the industry today is different than when we grew up, too. I mean, we literally had to stand in line at, like, GameStop or Walmart to get a copy. So, in pre-order...
Dude, I remember, like, literally that was an experience that I'm glad I did, but I would never do again, was that Skyrim launch, where I was literally standing in fucking line, and it was 25 degrees outside, and I'm standing in line on November 10th, waiting for the fucking doors to open. The date.
That's so funny.
So I can get inside, because it came out 11/11/11. Okay. That's why I remember the date. It's really easy to remember. But, like, to get my game, and I remember that, like, Sarah was still in college, so I was going to visit her the next day. And so basically I went home and played it for like an hour or so, and then got up early and played it for like an hour or so before work, because I knew I was going to be gone for the next couple days visiting her at school before I would get to play it again. And like, I will admit, there's like a magic to that part of your life where you can do that stuff, well, it's like running, and like you don't feel bad about it. Yeah. But like nowadays, it's like, man, I don't know that there is a video game on the planet that could get me to do that anymore. Yeah. Especially now, like before there was, but to be fair, during that time, it was like you didn't know if you were getting a copy. Right, you had no idea if you were going to get one.
You could miss out.
But now with digital games, it's like, fuck it, who cares? Why does anybody pre-order anything anymore? Just wait until the day it comes out and buy it.
You're promised a copy whether you pre-order or not digitally.
Yeah,
you can get it whenever the fuck you want it, as long as the game's out.
And the thing too is that like even like I was just looking at Guardians of the Galaxy, because you were talking about how you were talking about picking it up, you decided you weren't going to get it or whatever. It's on sale right now for like $39 or whatever. Even the standard version of the game digitally, without pre-ordering it, comes with extra stuff. Which to me, it's like, why are you even advertising that? Just put it in the fucking game.
Yeah, why is it even considered extra at that point?
Yeah, like I don't know. The marketing.
Our game comes with a save option if you order it from us.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly.
It supports a controller if you get it. If you pick it up, there'll be lots of polygons with this one. You start with a pistol. Everybody starts with one. Like, it's like yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I see your point. Anyways, we need to digress and just get on with the end of the show here. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. You've heard us rant a little bit about things. We talked about Black Friday deals, talked about the games coming out, talked about Activision, that whole thing, and Jim Ryan and the Game Awards, and man, we did a lot of talking here. Mark Cerny and the PS5, Dying Light, man, SIFU. Yeah, good conversations today. So thanks for tuning into the PlayStation podcast that we put on called PS This Is Awesome. And unfortunately, I was going to put another one of my band songs on, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait a little bit. So unfortunately,
what you should do
every episode, put a Christmas song on.
Well, I was just going to say what you should do is go to fredoakman.bandcamp.com and listen to 'Tis the Season by Fred Oakman and the Flood. and just get ready for a Christmas. Now, I take that back.
Dude, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. You ready?
Wait until the day after Christmas.
I got an idea. Go ahead.
Or the day after Thanksgiving. And then after the day after Thanksgiving, listen to it, because I think that it's heinous to play Christmas music before Thanksgiving.
So here's what we're going to do. Every podcast that we put out there from Thanksgiving up through Christmas, I will put "'Tis the Season," the Christmas song we wrote, as the closing song, just for you all, and it'll be hilarious. That's what we're doing.
Sounds good.
All right, it's good because we got to get you guys. Yeah, a little Christmas music doesn't hurt, and then when it's made by yours truly, Mr. Jake Peters, and I, you must listen to it, and you'll feel it, even if you don't live in Pennsylvania. So, thanks again for tuning in to episode 196. And it's all we got. If you guys want to send a song to our email account, or if you have friends who are musicians, we will put it on the show at the end of the show, but not between Thanksgiving and Christmas, because that's going to be reserved for numero uno here. But you can email us at psthisisawesome@gmail.com along with your band name and the title of the song, and we will notify you when and if it goes live. So, like Genshin Impact, Ghost Runner, and Glittering Sword. Yes. This is awesome.
Awesome.